What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live Engadget Podcast stream. I'm senior editor Devindra Hardwar. This week joined by deputy editor Cherlynn Lowe. Hey, Cherlynn.
This week.
This week, I mean, Cherlynn, you're not here. You're a busy person now, Cherlynn. And right now, Cherlynn is in California at the the Made by Google event for the Pixel
Yeah.
9 launch. So, hello from California. How you doing?
It's been a day, but actually not that bad of a day. I don't know. How did it come off from your end, Devindra?
It's I'm always happy when we get a lot of the stuff we need to cover ahead of
Yeah.
time and we can just
Yeah.
like think about the news and write that. So it was good. Hey folks, I don't know if you've noticed, but there was a pretty big launch event today over at Engadget. We covered the Pixel 9 launch, also everything else around that, right? The Pixel 9 Pro, the Pixel 9 Fold Pro or Pro Fold. I gotta look up the exact name for that.
Profold. The names
Pro
are
Fold.
quite a lot, yeah.
I have thoughts on the name of that
Yes.
foldable. It's very
Yes.
stupid.
Yes.
We've got the Watch 3, is it now?
Yes. Yes.
And
the Pixel
the
Watch 3.
Buds Pro 2.
Yes.
So, a lot of gear, a lot of stuff, and we'll chat a bit about that on this stream. Hey, yeah, we don't normally get to do this right after events, but it's always a fun thing. Who's here? Who's joining us?
Well, okay, so Depro9 in the chat is like, the Google after party was weird. Are you talking about the great Kiki Palmer after party that I did not
You love
attend?
Kiki Palmer. I did not stick around for that.
I did not either. I want to say hi to Depro9, James Wenty. Let us know how to pronounce your name correctly. Clint Ferguson says hi. I don't know who else might be here. Say hi, folks. Oh,
Say
Professor
hi. Say hi.
Nerd
Hello.
is here. And says that if the Fold can get to 90 to 95% of camera capabilities of the Pixel Pro, that would work. I think it's close. Like not maybe 90 to 95%, but
yeah, we've got questions about the camera on the Fold and everything.
yeah.
But hey, yeah, so we've survived. Engadget has survived. You can go check out all of our content, hands-ons, everything about all the new devices over at the site. But right now, we've got Cherlynn, and we can have like a bit
I'm
of
all
a
you
chat
got.
about Cherlynn is all we've got, sadly. And on Thursday, Sam Rutherford will join me on the Proper podcast, and we will dive into some of his hands-on thoughts too. But Cherlynn, yeah, first impressions from this launch event, and also of the devices that you've seen so far.
I think I was just talking to Lisa DeChico from Cena about this, and we were very impressed by the event. But Lisa mentioned that she felt like it felt more like an I/O. It felt less like a Pixel hardware launch event and more like a focus on software. And you know what? I think she's right, because like I feel as if Google has reached a point with this Pixel hardware that it's almost iterative every generation. I mean, other than the Pixel Fold, Pixel 9 Pro Fold, because that's still very new as a product category for them. But yeah, on everything else, the hardware is basically a canvas, a very capable canvas now for Google's real flex, right? The like softwares where Google really, really flexes and really, really, has an advantage over the likes of Apple. I mean, Google's AI, I think, is still far and away better than Apple's Apple Intelligence. We obviously haven't seen a lot of Apple Intelligence in the real world other than on the developer beta. But yeah, it felt like a software show, really, which isn't a bad thing. I am so hyped for some of these features.
Well, it was a software show, except where was the actual next new software? Where was Android 15? Like, where's the thing that everyone is kind of waiting for? It is weird how, yes, we got a lot of software stuff. We got a lot of AI stuff and new features that, like adding yourself into a photo.
Add me, yes.
Add me. Stuff like that is cool. The whole like screenshot, it'll remember info from your screenshots. You can ask, Gemini about that, and that's cool.
Yes. And then updates to the weather app, and then there's like some updates that we didn't see, but they're coming to Keep, something about lists. Also, Image Studio. Don't forget those very not wonky hot air balloons that you can add to your picture through Image Studio. Yeah, a lot of different apps, but no full release of like Android 15. You know what?
Yeah.
I wonder if this is like a hint of things to come, because for a very long time, for I want to say at least the last 2 if not 3 years, Google has like eschewed I don't know, skipped
sure
a yearly big software release thing and opted for like feature drops every quarter or so, and I feel like they're just going to do that moving forward and go on and give up Android number generational every year thing. That tells me I'm going to go ask someone here at Google in a little bit whether this is the way forward, because
you're definitely like, I was surprised. So we did a lot of this coverage. I'm surprised Google is not very upfront with everybody that, hey, these new phones are not going to be launching with Android 15. they're launching with Android 14, and that news kind of trickled out because we're like, huh, they're talking about a lot of new features, but these phones are coming out like soon in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And first of all, this is early for Google, right? Like typically we get this stuff
Yes.
shortly after the Apple stuff, and I think this year Google's like, what if we just beat Apple? What if we just go a full month before the Apple event and kind of take all that news, take all that AI hype, even if our software isn't fully ready? I feel like that's what happened here, so it feels weird.
I don't know if they were trying to
Be
beat
doing in
Apple to
August.
the punch necessarily,
Mhm.
but I think it is good timing for someone like me who's been complaining very publicly about like how awful October usually is for all of us. And this year it's been like a little more reasonable, right? We had Samsung
Mhm.
July, Google August, maybe probably iPhone September, Apple September, and then October might be okay. Like we might survive this, you guys. Like
It is, yeah, we're spreading out the wealth a little bit. October is normally like a fall crush for us. We call it Techtober.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm probably okay with no events in August. I feel like, these companies do have to take a break at some point, but
Yeah, but
yeah,
if like
it's
I mean,
something, sure.
it used to be Samsung had some packed in August, and then now it's more
Mhm.
early or late July. And this year was an anomaly again because it was very early in July. But like all that timing sort of stuff aside, I want to say like Deepo Knight in our chat also points out that like
Mhm.
the Pixel Pro models, the Pixel 9 Pro models, they are going to come with 1 year at least of Gemini Advance, which is something that was talked about during the
Mhm.
show. And then also 2 terabytes of Google storage, right? For every person
Yeah.
that buys a Google 9
Even the
Pro.
standard Pixel 9 will also come with that, so not just the Pro, yeah.
That's awesome, right? I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know if Advanced will come with. I don't think Gemini Advanced is going to come with the regular Pixel 9, but the 2 terabytes of storage, you're saying it might will
Yeah,
have that. Okay, so yeah, so like clearly Google is using these devices as a canvas to sell you AI. It's Gemini
sure.
AI. It wants on-device AI. It wants to put them in your hands and for you to find the good use case for them. And did you see anything that you like? Like, not
It's fine.
sure.
The
I don't
screenshot
know.
stuff is kinda cool. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
was it Gemini Live, the sort of like a live helper, which,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
we saw a bunch of these similar announcements from OpenAI as well. Like everybody wants to get to this point where you have a smart conversational AI helper.
Yes.
Maybe that's kind of cool. I am very glad because before we covered WWDC together, Cherlynn, I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of dreading seeing a similar subscription from Apple. From Apple
Mm.
saying, "Hey, buy our new device, and if you want the best AI and the best
Yeah.
software features, you also have to pay us $20 a month." And Apple didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Apple specifically was more focused on-device AI tools. There is going to be some cloud stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not paying extra for that. That's just a part of
Yeah.
buying into the ecosystem. And I think that's a very Apple move. And for Google
Mm.
to be like, oh, we could just be a full on subscription here. I think that's also a very Google move to like shift a lot of it to the cloud for processing. And also basically turn this into another subscription model because it's
Yeah.
more money on top of buying the devices on top of their typical storage subscriptions. I'm not a huge fan of that. I do think these devices are getting so much more powerful. we I love to see these companies focus on what you can do on device without sending my data somewhere else, without
Yeah.
making us pay extra fees. Extra fees for AI, especially for features that aren't fully baked yet.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Copilot Pro stuff. A lot of that stuff is just not very useful. It's still $20 a month.
Right. It's
It feels
God.
like a ripoff. So I hope Google makes it worthwhile. That's my thought on that.
Even then, I mean, to be honest, like
Mhm.
Google's already selling some of this stuff, right? The Gemini Advanced stuff baked into the workspace stuff. Like a lot of
Mhm.
the early access to some of these features that it's like launched with Gemini first rolled out to these premium-y workspace business types of customers, and then it's like starting to trickle out. Um, but I agree with you that Apple's perspective or approach there is the more sound one, in my opinion, because you still haven't given me a compelling use case for AI that I would pay money for.
Mhm.
And so for Apple to wait till it maybe finds that is smart. Plus, it's basically giving you like ChatGPT for free, right? Like you be able to use some ChatGPT features through Apple Intelligence.
Sure. Sure.
I will say that like mentioning Apple, I'm very happy we flew to Mountain View. Well, I flew to Mountain View for
Mhm.
this like event and didn't sit and watch a pre-taped video. Like
Sure.
it
Sure.
was thank you Google for having live people on stage and trying to do live demos, which like some of them fell flat and that's not a bad thing. Like I
The
thought
very
it was
first
okay.
demo fell really flat, which was the thing about,
You
"Hey,
waited for very long, yeah.
take a picture of this, what was it, invite and add it to my calendar," and it was 3 tries. We were, like, counting the
Mm.
seconds too, like, it felt like it took at least a full minute of failure and other things for that to finally start working. I felt really bad for Google, but also it's like also the people poking fun at AI and who don't give a crap about any of this kind of on point. Like this is the problem. He looked at an invite. He was trying to just like add that stuff to the calendar or check if he has a conflict with his calendar, right? And everybody in our chat in the Engadget Hangouts, I'm sure online, was just like, look at your calendar. Why don't you look at your calendar and see if this information conflicts? Like a human being, process some information on your own. And instead of doing that, which would have taken 5 seconds, he did the demo of the AI thing, which took 60 seconds, failed multiple times, was not ultimately easier. So
and not going to always be accurate too, right? The problem with AI is that it doesn't always perform correctly. Some of the other stuff that like Rick Osterloh saved for the end of the show was like research with Gemini, and like it's supposed to be able to do multi-step, multimodal, like lots of like reasoning that will think ahead even in the future and present things like a research proposal for you.
Rick. Yeah.
But like even then, if just one step along the way the Gemini AI is not accurate, your entire report and proposal falls apart. And it just has to happen once, and you've lost trust in this sort of situation. So it's really difficult. I think for Google to prove that Gemini has a use case there. I will say, I think I can't remember like on hindsight like how everything flowed, just because it was like a blur to me. I was live blogging in a frenzy. But I think did we get first like some mention of Gemini and like improvements to the model? Then we got like the Pixel 9 devices announced, and then we got 9 Pro Fold, and then we moved on to Pixel Watch 3 and then Pixel Buds Pro 2. Right? That was the general sequence of events. Yeah. I mean, and there were a lot of cameos. We said, I think we quickly mentioned Kiki Palmer at the start of the stream. Jimmy Butler, or Jimmy Buckets, as he's more fondly known, also made an appearance to demo this Add Me photo or camera feature coming to the Pixel 9 series, which I think is a smart application of like AI, AR, and like camera stuff.
Sure.
I think Google is having fun. It's I hate that it's using the word era, but it is, and it's like AI having fun era. And you know what? Go live your life, Google. Go do it.
Go live your life. I mean, as an event, I can't really judge. I will say it does suck that demo fell flat for them. That shows all the pitfalls of AI right now. And when we've talked about stuff like Amazon's Assistant and Siri and everything, like the thing that was always most frustrating about the early virtual assistants was that if it mishears you one time, if it makes a slight mistake, when you're talking to something, like if you're talking to another human being and they don't like understand you, or it's more frustrating than if you're clicking a mouse and like it doesn't click, or you type something in like the computer's wrong, because it feels like you're actually engaging something. So I think the frustration level as a human with AI is going to be a lot higher. So there's a higher threshold for them to clear.
Yeah.
Also, just nothing that they really showed me is something I'm like super excited for. I guess I take a lot of screenshots, so recalling screenshot stuff, that's kind of cool, but also
I love the screenshot stuff. Oh my goodness.
It's cool. The whole like recording basically transcripts, or not transcripts, but the basic backs of your calls. Call notes is good. Yeah. I hope the security behind that is really strong.
It's on device. It's based on recorder tech, I think, so should.
But it's also like if somebody, it's not that unusual for people to have bad pins or other people to get access to their devices unlocked. Like people are not super security conscious. So somebody grabs your device and it's open, they see a lot of information. They see a lot of like information between those calls. And sometimes you're throwing out personal information. Sometimes you're reading your social security number over the phone or something. I'm like, that's not great.
I always think of like calls as my like most secure means of transmitting confidential or sensitive information, in the sense that if I had no other choice, versus over email or versus over text, like I'd rather call someone, because there's no like written trail. But
this is true.
This might make it like
now we have recorded trails.
Exactly. So, like there's a paper trail now. Do want to point out in the chat there are a few like great comments. Mike Jones Jr. said, I hate when they show up all these features and rarely say which ones are Pixel exclusive and which ones are just Android. And like I would assume that everything agree with you 100%, but I would assume that a lot of these things are Pixel first to begin with, and they might eventually trickle out to Android. They're just not always very clear which ones do come out to Android, which to your point is very frustrating, Mike Jones. And Niranjan Banda in the chat agrees with you. Dpro9 says Gemini will ship to all Android phones. I'm sure they will, because Gemini Advanced is something you can sign up for and pay for regardless of whether you have a Pixel phone or not.
That's what Google wants. It is the new Android, basically. Like, it is a new layer on top of Android. So Google wants that everywhere. Fingers in every single pie. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Jeremiah Williams made a funny mistake that we honestly here at Engadget have been making the same mistake. So Jeremiah Williams said in the chat, the 9 Pro Fold 2 looked good. My bad, 9 Pro Fold. And like, when I was watching Sam shoot his hands-on video for the 9 Pro Fold, the number of times he tripped saying Pixel 9 Pro Fold has been immense. I felt for him, and I just went like lean into it. If the name sucks, the name sucks.
Devindra, you could just call it the Fold 2. I think the name sucks, and the name is also representative of a lot of problems that Google has. Like, I think that name is such an indicator of like, oh my, you're just a bunch of freaking nerds and you don't understand how humans think. People know what the Pixel Fold is. You had it for a long time. It was over a year, I think, or at least it's a while.
No, it's a year. It's a year, yeah.
So if you call it Pixel Fold 2, we get it. Oh, it's running the same hardware as the Pixel 9 or 9 Pro. Who cares? It's a longer name to say. It's super annoying. People don't remember it, and it's inherently confusing. And I think some Google nerd was like, oh, this looks cleaner on the spreadsheet. You know, like, oh, our whole family cleaner on the spreadsheet, or you have the family picture, you have the family table on the Pixel site right now. It's cleaner if they all have the same name. And I'm just like, Google, you guys, somebody needs to slap these engineers and be like, a human will want a Pixel Fold 2. Not what you're thinking. I don't know if this got you heated at all, but it felt indicative of like the problems Google creates for itself, just because somebody was like, oh, this looks better on our website. You know?
I didn't get too heated about this. I will say it was funny to watch.
It's just a dumb error. Yeah.
But I think Pixel Fold 2 is a better name. But I was just thinking to myself that like even the Pixel 9 Fold would have been like a better name.
Yeah.
But then if we drop the Pro word, that some people would get confused and think it's not Pro, and then like I can see why they want to add 9 to the name, because they want to make it clear that this is something they might be investing in year over year. It's not going away, and it's also like part of the family of devices, and therefore you should think of it as a more like mainstream viable but high-end option. Like the Galaxy Z series is very clear, right? I think Google can stand to learn a little bit from Samsung here.
No, how dare we're saying Google can learn from Samsung's naming another company where we
another company with the worst names, but
the worst names.
They changed it a little bit for the better with the S24 becoming like based on the year as opposed to like random number. But like, excuse me, I almost choked.
Please don't.
But the Pixel like 9, what is it, the 9, and then the 9 Pro, and then the 9 Pro XL, and then the 9 Pro Fold. Folks, that's the whole lineup of the Pixel 9 family right now. And if they had just a random Pixel Fold, like designation out of nowhere, would you get confused? I don't know. Tell us. Buddy305 Love is here, and Buddy305 Love says that the marketing team usually has the last say on names. Oh my goodness, Mark Dell's here too.
It depends on a lot of things, and usually it's the leaders of that product. Like the product leads will have a lot to say. But I will say that must have been a really heated like boardroom session, or like session in a conference room. Like everybody's just like fighting, because I'm sure there are people at Google who think like normal human beings and be like, guys, we just released the Pixel Fold. Everybody just wants a Pixel Fold 2. Don't make it so hard.
Sure, it's a fight.
And then other people are like, but how will they know it's part of the Pixel 9 family? And then it can't just be the 9 Fold. It's a little better than the 9, so it has to be the 9 Pro. So now we're just adding more words to this stupid thing. It just, to me, is a silly mess. But sure. What do you think of that device overall? Because that is the most interesting one that we have.
It's a really good looking and good feeling device, and for a foldable phone. Sam has mentioned this in his hands-on, but I will hammer at home that the aspect ratio of that middle internal screen is really unique in the space, especially compared to Samsung, where you have like a bit thinner, of a different orientation for the internal screen. Plus, it's a little less skinny compared to Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold 6, which is more like a baton when it's folded up, whereas the Pixel Pro Fold actually feels. See, I did it just now. The Pixel 9 Pro Fold actually feels kind of like a regular phone when it's folded in half. Like it's I like it. It's the hardware is solid now, whereas last year, the original Pixel Fold felt like it had still a little bit too chunky bezels, still a little unpolished. It felt like a prototype almost, but now we've got something that feels grown up. So I think it's a nice device. And Sam rightly always wants camera performance to be basically equivalent on your most expensive phone as compared to your high-end flagship. And to Dipro9's point in the chat, $1,800. I think this thing is $1,799 or $1,700. I forget, but
same as before.
Yeah, it's the same as before, but it is an expensive phone. So you can't charge people this much money and be like, the camera's just gonna suck a little bit compared to the $1,000 phone. So,
and it does kind of, because did you guys ever get confirmation? Is it the new sensors that's in the 9 Pro in the Fold, or are they the older ones?
Sam might know better. I've left the entire Fold coverage to him.
So I read his hands-on, and I don't think he got confirmation. I don't think Google's fully saying, but that's basically what happened last year and kind of what we're used to. We're looking at the video of Sam's hands-on right now on the stream, and I do have to say the hardware does look nice. Like you were saying early on, Cherlynn, this didn't really feel like a hardware event, but to me, this felt like a pretty monumental hardware event for Google, because finally, the Pixel does not look like garbage. How about that? It doesn't look like...
this is your bias speaking. Yes, your bias speaking, because it looks like an iPhone.
It looks like an iPhone, but it also looks like... So the main deal was the camera bar, which has been on the back of the Pixel phone since the Pixel 6. That was like a thing. I think when we talked about it, it was like, oh, that's unique. That's interesting. Sort of like in polite society when you're like, oh, that's... like you're tasting somebody's dish that they bring to potluck. That's interesting. Yeah. Nice flavor in that. Really unique. The Pixel, that design always looked interesting, but not attractive, I'd say, and not particularly stylish. And now the camera bar is still there, but they rounded the edges to like a pillbox shape, and it almost feels like a dig against Apple, because it looks like the Magic Island. And now they're like
the dynamic island,
the dynamic island, but it looks like the notch from Apple, except it's on the back, and Google has...
I think that's you stretching.
That's what it looks like to me. Like that's the shape that we're all kind of used to.
It's a pill almost,
It's a pill. Overall, though, the Pixel 9 and the 9 Pro and the Fold look nice. And that's something I don't think I've been able to say for any of the Pixel phones. Like they've always been functional. Early on, they were kind of ugly and basic. They kind of got more interesting with the Pixel 6 because they wanted a sort of like camera bump. So I would love to know what people think of the new design. Like they are going a little more stylish, but it's also $100 more than last year. That's a big downer for me.
I think they're bringing like improved things like RAM and storage. Obviously for the full details, check out the post that we have on Engadget.com. Can I just quickly shout out that this video that you're showing on screen right now for the stream, I shot most of the B-roll for Sam.
Oh, is that why it's so shaky and unfocused?
Yes, it's extremely shaky and unfocused. So it's like if y'all have like issues with it, you send your emails to me. But also I am like, wow, look, I'm actually watching this video back for the first time. Oh, okay. No, this part's Sam. That part was Sam. Don't blame me for that one. The shaky, unfocused shots were all Sam, and then the nice ones were all me.
Full background, everybody, we're all trying to get used to using the DJI Osmo pockets for a lot of our handheld shoots. And hey, we're getting video. We're getting video. So it's something.
So bear with us. We're transitioning. These are some transitional frictiony things that we're working out. We'll get better in time. But this I also want to point out we've had a few like late joiners to our party in the chat. In addition to Mark Dell and Buddy305 Love that I shouted out just now, we have had Turbine with a one in the name join. We've had people like Ridman and I'm still scrolling. Just Rentro all leaving comments, which we love. Leave us more comments in here. But I did want to like answer. So Devindra, are you like the type of person that makes use of every single camera on your camera lineup?
Listen, I paid good money for the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I use every single camera as much as I can.
Which one do you use the most? Like
I don't. What is great is the telephoto one, the one where I can actually zoom 2x or 5x, because when you've got kids or you've got animals, sometimes the correct framing, if you move too close to something, it kind of goes away. So to capture a moment zooming is super helpful. Yeah.
Right. You want to scare away a deer or like let your kid
Or my
know
kids
you're
are doing something
there.
cute.
Yeah.
You're like
Yeah.
catching something candidly. It's good to have a zoom. Yeah.
Not to bring it back to the topic at hand too quickly, but there's a new like magic editor feature called auto frame that will help you like rework an image, recompose an image, and it can do so by maybe generative filling the background if you've like, you know, shot something a bit off center and stuff like that, which is nice, right? I think Magic Editor also has some like cool new features, like I said, the reimagine one already, where you can like select parts of a photo and then ask Magic Editor to reimagine it filled with hot air balloons or filled with storm clouds or like wildflowers as per the demo during the Google event. So those are interesting. I mean, I want to play with them, but I don't think they'll necessarily be helpful. With Image Studio, they did Pixel Studio. Image Studio is the Apple one. Pixel Studio, they did demo these that you can use prompts to tell AI to generate certain like graphics for you. So they did like an ocean party invite, like a campfire in front of the Golden Gate Bridge, and then they created stickers of their friends' faces from photos, right? And that's obviously been an iOS feature for a little bit, I think at least since iOS 17, if not 16. And stickers can be put into pictures in these Pixel Studio ones, but not elsewhere in the ecosystem. So still a little bit limited compared to Apple, but yeah, I definitely enjoy that. I'm definitely like making stickers of myself all over the place. And I think it's fun.
Totally fun. Should we take some questions from the stream? Because, hey, we've got general thoughts. We've got a lot of coverage up there. I want to know what people are thinking of these devices. Are you impressed by the Pixel 9? Like, to me, just looking at the Pixel 9, I was like, Google finally made, after many, many years, because they were making phones even before the Pixel series. Like, the Nexus phones were a thing. I covered those way back in the day. Some of those looked really cool, but they never quite figured out iPhone level style. They picked up HTC's hardware team, RIP HTC. They had some good smarts there, and now it's like, just make it a little, just make the materials a little nicer. Give us a little more of a polish. Maybe charge people more because of that, but there's more RAM in other hardware too, so maybe that's partially justified. I think they're good looking phones. How do these stack up with the latest Galaxies in your mind, Cherlynn?
Well, really quickly, speaking of like charging people more, you said for you know, improving and iterating on that design. Like Jared Williams has asked this twice in the chat, and I'm pretty sure how much, you know, Jared is wondering how much Gemini AI will be once that free sort of allotment has expired, that 1 year Gemini Advanced coverage. And Devindra,
it's $20 a month. Yeah.
For Copilot, you're $20 a month, or are you saying Gemini Advanced?
Gemini Advanced, like I looked it up on the site too.
Gotcha.
Yeah, right now it's $20 a month. They could get it more expensive. Any subscription gets more expensive.
Yeah, so I guess if you're like Pixel 9 Pro, you're buying for $100 more, is, you know, comes with that Gemini Advanced access for a year. That's like $240, I guess, off the like you're saving maybe, or like balancing out. I don't think it balances, but anyway, lots of people in chat are like, I'm getting a Pro XL. I am more hyped for the Pro non-XL, y'all. Like, this is the first time we're getting a Pixel 9 Pro or a Pixel Pro in two sizes. Yeah, it's like a smaller size. I am mildly excited, if only because I want to use it to test a lot of these AI features out. And I love a Pixel camera, so there's that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, for us to like specs how they compare, right? Are you talking about like just the candy bar flagships or the foldables that are like we're facing off right now?
That's a good question.
I'm wondering, which one are you more?
I think the candy bar foldables, just the fact that they're cheap, like they're so much cheaper now. They're $700, $800. I'm seeing them in the wild. I've never seen a Galaxy Fold or a Pixel Fold, you know, outside of tech people in New York, even. Like, I just don't see them around.
It's funny, we've seen a lot, but they're all in New York, I think.
They're all in New York.
The coastal cities,
Yeah, it totally makes sense. But I would, just looking at this one, Cherlynn, like I think this looks like a really nice foldable. Fixes a lot of the problems we had with the first one. What will it take for you to main this, or at least make this your secondary phone along with your iPhone? Yeah, you're the mobile lead, Cherlynn. Come on.
What it would take is, well, I mean, I would relinquish the title of mobile lead to Sam very soon, but I already do. But like some of their camera features, and you know, of course, I love the camera features. Like some of the camera features on the Pixel Fold. 9 Pro Fold specifically, like, made you look. Isn't that cool though, Devindra? Like using the external screen to like get your kid to look at the camera. I thought that was like smart as fun. It was such a great demo because there are cute babies involved. And I think that to the point of Buddy305 Love in the chat, Buddy305 Love says the Z Fold 6 is a lot better because One UI is clutch. I think, yeah, there's a lot of productivity things that Galaxy Z Fold 6 might do better, even though I prefer Pixel UI. I think one is a bit more productivity focused and one's a bit more entertainment focused. Google is the latter, and also a bit more AI focused. What would it take? I don't know, more camera. What it would take is for Pixel Flip. I want Google to make a Pixel Flip.
Yeah. I see some people in the chat. I was not saying $1,800 is the cheap price. I'm saying the price under $1,000. So the Galaxy Flips right now is what, $700 or $800? Like, more reasonable, not the cheapest thing in the world, but more
the Z
reasonable.
Fold Flip.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, the Z Flip, not the Z Fold Flip. I think if I'm not remembering wrongly, is like more like $999.
There was one that was like a little lower, but yeah.
Oh, the Moto Razr Plus. Those are way cheaper. Yeah.
But just the fact that we have those out there, you're right. A Pixel Flip would be kind of interesting. And I think we've gotten to the point where those things got cheap enough where it's like, you need an Android phone? Like, why don't you consider one of the flips? Whereas if you want something like the Pixel 9 Pro Fold or the Galaxy Fold, whatever we're on, you're paying close to $2,000. And that's insanity.
Yeah,
like that's a lot of money. Like, you're better off buying a flip, phone or a normal phone and buying like a small tablet.
Yeah.
Because a really good tablet is cheaper. Not that much cheaper.
Rant Joe, very appropriately to their name, says, I don't want the AI feature. It's just a gimmick. I don't care about it. Yeah, you rant Joe.
You rant on. Don't pay the extra fee for it. Yeah.
Don't pay. And if you don't want, the good thing about AI features, the way they're baked in right now, is like, if you don't want it, you can still like opt to not use it. And I think that's the way it should always be. Like, no one should ever be forced to use like a feature they don't want to be using. Yeah. So yeah, if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine. I find that most of these like AI like summarize and like generate graphs or paragraph writing for you, I don't like any of them. I'd rather do my own writing. So it is what it is.
Because we write for a living. Yeah,
exactly. There are people that like it though. And then Corey Dornbush in the chat says that they just got the upgrade push notification from Google Fi on the Pixel 9, which is interesting. Are you saying you already have a Pixel 9? I want to point out that Michael Kaywood just joined the chat and said hi to Michael Kaywood. Yash Srivastava says that nobody cares about Android. Well, you are tuning into an Android-based live stream, so I don't know what you're saying here. Apple keeps it simple, yeah. And that Android is a bit confusing, and then you play Assassin's Creed on your iPhone, and you're still here on our live stream, so that's nice.
That's nice. Good for you.
The Punisher says that you might be in the minority, but you can't wait to use the AI features. I can't wait to use some of them. I'm really stoked for some of them. It's really cool.
Some of them. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in our own chats. Like, we were all like we were all wondering, like, a lot of this stuff just feels like the downfall of humanity a little bit too. Like, asking an AI thing, what do I do with my niece this weekend? I don't know. Talk to your freaking niece, see what she likes, learn to communicate with her on a human level and form some sort of social bond. Maybe do that instead of ask Gemini. So I do think a lot of this stuff is a little like overbaked. Like, I don't know how useful this is to normal people. It may make a cool demo to Google, and I think investors are like all up on AI right now, but we have been covering this stuff for pretty much 2 years now, like the rise towards generative AI and large language models and everything they're producing. And I'm not sold on any of the stuff, Cherlynn, except the stuff that actually helps us do work. So I use Descript.com for transcription and some podcast stuff. I know a lot of people are using tools like that. People are using AI tools within Photoshop and other media creating tools. Like, that sort of stuff seems directly functional and useful. And I won't deny that that's helpful. But these things, not.
I mean, I think a lot of the things that I found useful over the years, it's hard. It's weird to say over the years, but like, remember, AI is a term that's been around for a very long time. Generative AI is the one that's recent, right? But like, even Google's like smart replies in its inbox is sort of, it's not generative to that extent, but it is contextually looking at your emails and then generating replies. And those have I found
small language models,
right, very, very small. They're not huge LLMs or whatever. Like, but then I find that was helpful. I find, like you said, the generative fill stuff that image editors or photo editors like that have also helpful. They've been around for so long though, and that's why they've become more useful. I think when Smart Replies was first announced, people had a lot of similar initial apprehension. Like, if you use a Smart Reply to reply to my email, I will not talk to you ever again. Like, I remember that. I'm like, me too. I thought that too, but now I do actually click on those chips.
You just click on it, but it is inherently a little dehumanizing though. Like that's the thing. We talked about this when it comes to like the stupid Google like phone call thing where you tell, Google Assistant to call stores for you. And I'm like, that's bad for service workers. It's bad for just like on a basic level. Like you're not actually talking to another person. And then you're sending this stupid robot that could have all these errors to potentially go ruin somebody else's day. Yeah. And you are so oblivious from it. It's like sending a drone strike from across the planet, right? You have no clue what damage you've done to this person if Google's Assistant is not good at actually capturing this reservation. Yeah. And then you get mad at the restaurant if you go later and something about that reservation is messed up. Google's almost you may get annoyed at Google, but it's you go there for dinner or something and something's messed up. You're mad at that. And
the fallout from AI not working does get caught by like human people just trying to do their best and like got screwed over by the AI. So that's not good. I don't know. We'll see, right? Like I think
we'll see.
A lot of this we'll see in time, the impact and effect of. I think there's a lot more going on in the chat, which by the way, I love it. You're all very lively right now. Rant Joe is saying I'm waiting for the Pixel 8a to be more of a deeper discount now that the 9 came out. Yeah, keep an eye out. I mean, like
keep an eye out.
Horizon, November's coming out. We've got Black Friday coming out. Jamil Johnson says the real question is how come Apple hasn't made a fold or flip smartphone yet? We shall see. My money is on a foldable iPad mini in the next 2 years.
That's not it's a good thing you bring that up, but also is it any question why Apple hasn't done this? Because the tech is still super early. These devices are really, really fragile compared to a normal smartphone, and the functionality, I don't think it's justified the cost for a lot of people. You may see those super rich gadget nerds with a Galaxy Fold or something or Pixel Fold, but it's not fully justified for everybody. So I think Apple is the sort of company that's like, let's sit and wait and let's do this right. If the Apple does a Fold, there's not going to be a crease on it. Like Apple's probably sitting and waiting for just folding display tech to get to the point where there's no visible crease. Like
we're getting so close to that. There's a lot of devices that have very, very little visible crease anymore, especially on the Asia side of things. But I think to someone else's question earlier on in this chat, the Pixel Fold doesn't have that noticeable crease either. I think
it looks pretty good. Yeah,
pretty good. Also, Mike Jones Jr. responded to say that not to worry, Apple will invent the foldables in a few years. Jared Williams points out that they just saw the specs for the Pro Fold and that it added wireless charging, which is a good thing for that phone. And yeah, I think that's good too. I also want to point out that a spec sheet discovery later in the day after the Google event, somewhere it was found out on the internet, I think it was 9to5 Google, that discovered 45-watt wireless charging is now supported on the Pixel 9 family with the included like 45-watt charger in the box. That's very fast, which is good. Still not T2, which is basically MagSafe, which we're all kind of waiting on, but there you go. And then Markdell AI peaked at Cherlynn. Engadget Podcast listeners will know. And also, I want to say, Buddy 305 Love was like, can AI tell me what pickup line to use to? And then Markdell responded, certainly. Here's a playful pickup line for Cherlynn Low, Engadget's deputy editor reviews. Quote, are you a tech review? Because you've got my heart racing with every word. Smiley face, phone symbol, heart.
It's terrible.
Mark, rejected. I have ghosted you. I am sorry. Lots of y'all are hilarious in this little chat. I also want to point out that Yash Srivastava, who earlier on was like saying Android's not cool, and I was like, why are you here, bro? Was just like
be useful.
But you were like, you did have a follow-up that was like, Android needs to win back the average consumer. They need a marketing strategy to make Android cool again. I love the innovation. I don't want new ideas to die out from Apple and its dominance. So it sounds like you're actually an Android fan and you want it to be cool. So I mean, it's hard to be a fan of anything nowadays because they all just
they
hard,
all
right?
disappoint you in the end.
Everyone disappoints you in the end. So maybe just don't invest. Not even in me. Don't be a fan of me. I say
real here.
I'll disappoint you one day. But like there's your pickup line, Buddy 305 Love. I'll disappoint you.
I've heard your movie review, Cherlynn. So I get disappointed weekly from Cherlynn. Come on, folks. Any other questions that we want to hit? We will be talking about any other further stuff on the final Engadget podcast or the final Pixel 9 Engadget podcast on Thursday. I'll do that with Sam.
Yeah.
This is your chance, chat. Yeah, what's up?
I do want to mention at the very least the Pixel Watch 3 and the Pixel Buds 2 Pro or Pro 2.
Yes.
So the Pixel Watch 3 is something that I did a hands-on with, and I mean, the big thing this year is similar to the Pixel 9 Pro. It's got a different size. It's got a new size. Cool, 45 millimeter version now. Yay.
Cool.
I, have been always using the 41, not always, but like I've used the 41 millimeter Pixel Watch when it launched, as well as the Watch 2. And this year we've got a 45 millimeter version, which doesn't look all that much bigger. If you're on the live stream, you can see it on my wrist right now on the screen. And yeah, it's not too overwhelming, but you get to see like quite a lot more content on it. And I think that people who have heart of like a difficulty reading small font and whatnot, or smaller interfaces will benefit from this, which is good. One size doesn't fit all, and I think Google learned here, which is nice. The other thing is these displays are like have more of an adaptive refresh rate, so they can go down to 1 hertz and up to 60 hertz. That's because of the actual displays that are on them right now. And then yes, the
OLED displays. OLED. I hate when they're making up new names for these things.
Yes,
nice OLED,
no, it's basically Google making the point that it's like got its own branded display, like similar to like other companies. But also, so these go up to like 2,000 nits of brightness, which is twice as bright as the like last model, and then it can go down to 1 nit, which is something the Apple Watch also did. So the Pixel Watch 3, in terms of hardware, like that's really a lot of the changes is in the screen, the new size. Again, the screen also on the original size, the 41 millimeter one, they shaved down like 16% of the bezel. So even without, exchange, like getting a bigger case, you've got a bigger screen for a bit more stuff. And then there's this new thing called loss of pulse detection that's launching with the Pixel Watch 3. I don't know if you've heard of that phrase.
I saw that the whole thing that they launched.
Yeah.
It's a funny phrase. Loss of pulse. Okay.
Is it loss of the pulse or loss of the detection? Like, girl, use dashes. I don't know, but it's interesting. So it's being touted as this first of its kind feature. It's still working through the regulatory channels, and it's like launching first in some countries in the EU.
It's launching in Europe, not here.
So obviously there are different regulatory like hoops to jump through, but I think they're working on bringing it here. I mean, I think it's an interesting feature, right? Like it's kind of like the fall detection feature that's emergency related on a lot of smartwatches these days, because everyone copied Apple. But yeah, when I fell somewhat recently, like in July, I fell off a bike, and my Apple Watch Series 9 that I was wearing, like within seconds was like, wow, it's like seems like you just fell. Should we call emergency services?
Oh, that's great. Good job, Apple Watch.
Very smart, but I was crying. And like absolutely not in the mood to look at my watch that was buzzing incessantly on my wrist. But okay,
sure. I mean, but if you had like broken your leg or something, you would have been crying, but you would also been like, yes, Apple Watch, please send help.
And had I not been surrounded by people who were willing to help too, I was in New York, people were actually being nice, so that was good. I do want to point out with the Pixel Watch 3 that I also unearthed a little nugget of information, and y'all are hearing about it here first on the live stream chat. And the article is already live on Engadget.com, so go for the details. But basically, I don't know if it's been clear to you, Devindra, before, but have you wondered what happened to Fitbit branded smartwatches?
I have wondered what happened to Fitbit in general for the past few years. Yeah, but yeah.
Well, so it was like about 3 years ago that Google completed its like acquisition of Fitbit, and it's since then released like 3 Pixel watches, including the Pixel Watch 3 we saw today. And then also in that sort of time frame, Fitbit's only really launched the Sense 2 and Versa 4, and those are both its own branded smartwatches that it's been making for years on its own before being bought by Google. And since then it's been quiet. That was like in 2022 until now. So I think like when the sort of merger more or less first happened, there was a lot of chatter around what this means for Fitbit devices, Fitbit brand, Fitbit watches. And my sense, and I'm sure if you go back to old episodes of the Engadget Podcast, you'll hear this. Okay, I've predicted this. All right, Fitbit, I think, was never going to make another smartwatch, but I knew they were going to continue making activity trackers because it always made sense for Fitbit as a brand that's so heavily associated with that category to continue making trackers like the Inspire, the like whatever else they make, the Fitbit Inspire, the basic step trackers that also do more than just steps now. And then there's also Fitbit Premium, which they're, I think, kind of somewhat pivoting to becoming like more of a coaching, content-based sort of ecosystem, which I think is fine. And they're also using AI to like generate workouts for you. So I think I think I'm the first person to get them on record saying that they're definitely no longer going to make Fitbit branded smartwatches. I mean,
That's cool.
in not so many words. I think
Yeah.
they're saying like they're basically saying that like, look, the next Fitbit smartwatch, you should think of it as the Pixel Watch 3. In that like Fitbit smartwatches have evolved like a Pokemon
Yeah.
into the Pixel Watch family.
I
And
will
that
say this, by the
makes
way.
sense.
It makes sense. I think we all kind of expected that as just after the acquisition
Yeah.
was over
Yep.
and Google went all in on the Pixel Watch. This one doesn't look so bad. Honestly, I wish there was like an Apple Watch variant that kind of had the rounded face and like looked a little more like this. I think like again with the Pixel 9 and the 9 Pro and the Fold and everything, like this is a good design year for Google. So hey, color me surprised. I'm just sitting here wondering how this is all going to fall apart for them. It's usually like a
Why?
little thing. It's like calling the Fold 2 what should have been the Fold 2. No. The
The
smartest
9
thing,
Pro
the
Fold.
9 Pro Fold. That's a
Mm.
very googly, and I think like Google as a company is just so unused to. They're not good with consumer hardware. We've talked about this a lot, and I just don't know if I can fully trust it. But hey,
I
this
know
looks
where
good.
you're
They look good. Yeah.
I know where you're coming from. I would say that like the Pixel Watch looks nice. It's
Mm-hmm.
felt comfortable. You know, it's one of the more comfortable watches, especially when paired with the right bands. The like
Mm-hmm.
stretch band is like chef's kiss. Because it's basically the Apple Solo Loop, but in a more
Mm-hmm.
is a softer, stretchier material. It doesn't maybe like over time it might lose its elasticity, but I haven't experienced that yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I love those, and I think that is testament to like Google meeting Fitbit with hardware. I mean, Fitbit
Mm-hmm.
was never good with style, I think, in my opinion, but it's got
There's
good
some like
hardware
good stylish
heritage.
ones. Yeah.
I mean, I took issue with one of your like reviews before we worked together, Devindra, where you were like, this was before I joined Engadget, and you were like, Fitbit Lux is the first stylish Fitbit. I was like, stylish?
That was
I know.
that
We've
was the
argued
first
about
one
this
that
and we
kind of
will.
looked still
I know.
good.
It was the first one that looked like it was not a square. Like
They were more like they were hard on fitness stuff. Like they were a fitness device company that did really good data work, and like that was the core of Fitbit. They didn't have great design work either, but I think it had more personality than a lot of the Google stuff. So you know, and now they're kind of finalizing what the Pixel brand identity is, and it's sleek. It's very sleek now.
Yeah. So I think like also if you know anyone listening watching this has time to go read that report that I wrote about like what Fitbit is doing with its smartwatch / how it's working together with Google. It's a lot of things I've included in one, which is how Google and Fitbit now work together on the Pixel Watch and where Fitbit still continues to fit in the industry and within Google, because even if like other people in the chat, like Yash are saying, like Google should just make Fitbit free already, or like Yash is saying Fitbit naming, like Google just keep it simple, peeps. The Buddy 305 Love was the one who said like that Google should just make Fitbit free already. Yeah, like it seems better to integrate Fitbit into Google's ecosystem and not have that logo keep jumping up at you. But I will say Fitbit still does have a lot of this brand recognition, and especially in the tracking space, especially in heart rate tracking, where they've been like a pioneer in sleep stage tracking overnight too. So like a lot of that stuff, Fitbit deserves to keep its name on, I think, and Fitbit deserves to stick around for a little bit. I do want to correct something. Yash Shrivastava says that you can use a Pixel Watch on iPhone. I double checked either today or yesterday. So. No, you can't. You cannot use a Pixel Watch with iOS. It is currently Android only. Which, you know, okay. Like if honestly though, if Pixel Watch was like iOS compatible,
I may consider it. I feel like I would say this new Pixel Watch looks so good. I almost wonder if Apple's like, let's just hit that button to unlock Android compatibility with the Apple Watch. If Apple did Apple Watch on Android,
they would win over the Pixel Watch market.
Kind of over, but
we'll see.
Yeah,
because for now, for me, it really boils down to Apple has hit consistently for me a 2-day mark on its watch battery life, the Apple Watch Series 9. If I'm using it heavily, then it's like 1.5 days, but if I'm not, it's 2 days. So like pretty good. Google is still struggling to meet a 24-hour mark. So like you need the Pixel Watch battery life is gonna like really make or break its like how we evaluated this time.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think
absolutely.
features like loss of pulse are hard to test. I'm not gonna go like have a cardiac arrest moment just to like test Loss of pulse.
Cherlynn, just let me. I'm gonna hold this pillow over your head for a little bit, okay? Just trust me.
This is how dedicated we are to the job, you all.
Yeah. Didn't you went on a hike with the Apple Watch Ultra, right? You went to the wilderness for that thing. Almost got lost
It was
with the compass thing. That was the whole thing.
Were you the one that? No, wait. Sam threatened me with a good time. Sam was like, I think I said something like, "Oh my God, we forgot about this satellite SOS, SOS texting, coming to Android phones for the first time by way of Pixel 9."
They found that on the other Pixels too. Like they sort of like ghost unlocked some of that for the Pixel 8, didn't they?
They could have. I don't know. I
saw news about that. Yeah,
could have been. But Pixel 9 is where we're seeing it first. And when I mentioned this on our live blog, which by the way you guys can go back and read, it's a hoot and a half. This satellite SOS feature, I was like, I'm so hyped. I don't know why. And then Sam was like, why don't you go on a hike and test it? I was like, yeah. Don't give me more reason to go on a hike for work because I will. Although I really should take the Galaxy Watch Ultra on a hike, and I still have refused to put it back on my wrist. I'm sorry, Samsung. It's huge.
Man. I think this is the story I was seeing. There were posts on Reddit saying satellite SOS randomly showed up on my Pixel 8 safety and emergency settings. So people were seeing it in settings, but it does look like officially the feature is Pixel 9 for the first time. Hey, that's a good thing. I do love that this is, and people kind of made fun of it when Apple did it as well. But hey, we don't have connectivity everywhere. It is sometimes important. Like there are still stories you hear of hikers just dying in the middle of nowhere because they lost power, they got lost, they didn't have water. Like it still happens. This is like a super easy thing to do, and like satellite texting has just gotten cheap enough to do that.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started on like cave exploring gone bad. But I also want to point out that Yash in the chat, who I've mentioned a few times now, says that WatchOS worked with iOS, that you looked it up and it was nice while it lasted. I think you're talking about Wear OS, which was Android Wear before Wear OS, and Wear OS did work with iOS, or I think it was Android Wear that did work with iOS. Because Fossil watches that ran Android Wear / Wear OS were compatible with iPhone.
I remember the Moto 360. I remember trying to test that on an iPhone, I think, and that was a good looking.
It was so basic though. You could not reply to text. You could get text, but not reply. And then eventually it was reply with an emoji. God, I mean, like those were the Wild West days when everything was bad, and everything is still bad.
We should probably wrap this stream. Is there anything else you wanted to mention, Cherlynn, from just you were at Google? Anything you noticed there? Did you get to talk to Kiki Palmer? Because I love her so much.
No, I did not. I mean, I think the event was well planned, well executed. The devices themselves, sure. I think that quickly shouting out the Buds Pro 2. Just go read our news post by Billy Steele on our website, Engadget.com. But for them to be the first, like, designed for Gemini is quite the claim. It's also the first to have like a Tensor A1 chip, a design for like wearables. Like again, for headphones. Again, like it feels like every product we've talked about so far, especially in the wearable space, has something significant news-wise attached to it, which I think is cool. But yeah, obviously we'll have to see when these get in our hands for testing in the real world. I'm already like seeing fun pictures of people using AdMe. I will use AdMe till the day I die, just to get pictures of me with me. A whole band of these.
I'm not surprised. Somehow I'm not surprised. That's what it's leading
I am on brand. I am nothing if not on brand. But maybe we should say goodbye to people. It's been an hour. Thank you all so much for joining us today. All. We really appreciate all of you, even those of you who have already pre-ordered the phones, because what are you thinking if you pre-ordered it? You let us know. You come back to the podcast on Thursday.
Get yourself a good deal. Like we keep an eye out for Engadget because we will often post like a lot of the deals we see, but don't rush. There are often good deals. Look at what your carrier is doing. What is the trade-in your carrier is going to offer you for your existing device? Take it easy. I basically got the 15 Pro Max for not much money. Because I waited like a month or two and Verizon had a really good trade-in deal. Exactly. So be smart, folks.
Yeah. Wait it out a little bit for a better deal. So people are saying bye. I want to say bye to the people who have already started saying bye. DPro9. Mark Dell was saying that you should play cat videos on the stream now that you can do these videos.
We can't do videos. It's just hard to manage. So
it's very hard to manage.
Skipping around. Yeah.
Really doing his best and like doing an amazing job while talking. Also, thanks to Devindra for hosting this. And actually right now it's like almost 7 p.m. where you are, Devindra.
All good.
I think. And then Yash is going to a future concert now. Mark Dell does point out, if you have any thoughts, not only can you come back on Thursday morning at about 10:30 a.m. Eastern to this YouTube channel to join in the live stream of the Engadget Podcast with Devindra and Sam Rutherford from our team. You can also send us emails, podcast@engadget.com, or like me, like Cherlynn at engadget.com, CHERLYNN@engadget.com. And then, yeah, we will see you shortly. Goodbye to Buddy305 Love, Barkdell, Jamil Johnson, Deepro9, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much. I also say, hey, go check out our coverage. Go read our coverage. Share the coverage. There's some videos online, and let us know if there's any other questions you've got about these Pixel devices. Hopefully, Cherlynn makes it back safely to the East Coast. Right? Everybody is dealing with flight delays today, but yeah, thank you so much, folks, for joining us. Podcast Engadget.com, and be sure to subscribe to the show. Thanks, folks. We're out.